There comes a moment in life when you have to make a choice between continuing to pour your energy into people who take you for granted or choosing yourself, a choice between begging for love, attention, or respect, or realizing that you never had to beg in the first place. Some of you have spent years just chasing after people who never looked back. You bent, you broke. You gave everything you had just to be seen, to be heard, to be chosen. But let me tell you something. When you finally stop chasing, they start losing. You see, people value what they fear losing. The moment you decide to walk away, to step back, to say no more, something shifts, the power dynamic changes. Because the truth is, they never believed you would leave. They counted on your forgiveness, on your patience, on your ability to tolerate their neglect. They thought they could do whatever they wanted, and you would still be there, waiting. But when you go silent, when you take your love, your presence, your energy, and pour it back into yourself, that's when they feel it. That's when they realize what they lost. No contact is not about punishment. It is not about playing games or making them suffer. No contact is an act of self-respect. It is standing in your truth and saying, I am worth more than this, because you are. Let's be clear. This is not easy. Walking away is one of the hardest things you will ever do. There will be moments when you want to reach out, when you second guess yourself, when the silence feels unbearable. But I need you to hold on, because healing happens in that silence. Growth happens in that space. And while you are over here rebuilding, learning, thriving, they are over there realizing that the person they thought would always be there isn't anymore. The lesson: you teach people how to treat you. Every time you accept less than you deserve, you tell them it's okay. Every time you make excuses for their behavior, you give them permission to continue. But when you stop chasing, when you go quiet, when you remove yourself from the game, that's when the real power shifts. Because here's the truth: no contact is not about making them miss you. It's about making yourself whole again. It's about stepping into the highest version of yourself, the one who doesn't beg for love but attracts it effortlessly, the one who doesn't chase but chooses. And when you become that person, you don't lose anything. But they. There is a profound power in choosing your absence. It may feel uncomfortable at first, even unnatural, but this is when you begin to realize your own strength. In a world that often tries to make you feel like you need to prove your worth to others, walking away is your declaration that you know your own value. You stop chasing after the approval, the attention, the love of people who have shown you time and time again that they will not give you what you deserve. The truth is, you are never weaker for walking away. You are stronger. The moment you choose to step back, you stop giving away pieces of yourself to people who will never appreciate them. Instead of clinging to something that doesn't nourish you, you start the process of reclaiming the parts of yourself that were lost along the way. You take back your energy, your peace, your self-respect. And in this silence, there is a message far louder than anything you could say. When you no longer chase, you let your absence speak for you. People are left to process their own actions without your presence there to soften the impact of their behavior. They can no longer take your presence for granted. They will have to confront the reality that you no longer tolerate what they once thought was acceptable. This is not just about walking away from others. It's about walking away from situations that have caused you pain. It's about recognizing that your well-being cannot be compromised just to keep the peace. In that absence, you create space for something far more powerful: clarity, growth, and the ability to move forward with purpose. By choosing to step back, you create the opportunity for those around you to see what they are truly losing. Your silence becomes an invitation for them to reflect on their actions, to consider how they've treated you and what they've taken for granted. Your absence forces them to feel the weight of their own choices without you there to cushion the blow. This is when the tables begin to turn. Your worth is not dependent on anyone's acknowledgement of it. Your value is intrinsic and cannot be diminished by the lack of recognition from others. When you stop chasing, you stop seeking external validation. Instead, you validate yourself through your actions. You teach the world that your presence is not something to be taken lightly. And when you remove yourself from the equation, you show them the power of your worth. In your absence, you begin to create room for those who genuinely respect you, those who honor your boundaries, and those who appreciate the fullness of who you are. Your silence isn't about withholding. It's about giving yourself the space to grow, to heal, and to flourish. And when you embrace this silence, you come to understand that you don't need to explain your worth to anyone. The absence you create will speak volumes that words never could. There's something truly transformative about stepping back from situations, from relationships, from people who have never fully appreciated you. We often believe that in order for others to see our value, we must constantly chase after them, beg for their time, or prove our worth through endless acts of kindness. But in reality, people often don't recognize the true value of something until it is no longer within their reach. But when you stop running after them, something shifts. They begin to realize what they've been taking for granted all along. When you are always present, when you're always the one reaching out, making the effort, showing up without question, it can be easy for others to take your presence for granted. They get used to you being there. They rely on your consistency, your loyalty, and your unconditional support. They start to believe that you will always be there to pick up the pieces, always there to forgive, always there to make things right. But when you decide to stop running after them, when you choose to pull back and honor your own needs and boundaries, that's when the game changes. The truth is, people do not often value what they feel they cannot lose. The moment you remove yourself, the moment you stop showing up, they begin to feel the absence. Suddenly, they see the space you once filled. The things they once took for granted, the love, the time, the attention, the support, are no longer there. And it creates a void. It forces them to reckon with the truth that they had something valuable, something irreplaceable, and they didn't appreciate it until it was gone. This realization doesn't happen overnight. It takes time for people to understand the depth of what they've lost. But when they do, it is a powerful awakening. They begin to see your worth in a way they never could when you were constantly in pursuit of their approval, their attention, or their validation. The very act of you stopping your chase forces them to evaluate their own behavior and the space they've occupied in your life. They begin to ask themselves, why didn't I cherish this person? Why did I take them for granted? When you stop chasing, you stop being a convenience. You stop being something that can be easily accessed whenever it's convenient for them. You put yourself on a pedestal, and in doing so, you give them the opportunity to realize just how much they need to change in order to earn a place in your life. What you must understand is that when you stop running after someone, you're not just creating distance, you're creating a space for them to see you for who you truly are. You're giving them the chance to appreciate the things they never valued until you became a distant memory. And when they start to fear losing you, that's when they understand your true worth. No contact is often misunderstood. People may look at it as a form of retaliation, a way to get back at someone, but in truth, it's an act of profound self-respect. It's not about hurting anyone. It's about honoring yourself. It's about acknowledging that your peace, your mental and emotional well-being are worth more than any temporary fix or fleeting connection. When you choose no contact, you're not doing it to punish the other person. You're doing it because you recognize the toll their presence has taken on you. You're doing it because you realize that some relationships, no matter how much you've invested in them are not worth the cost to your inner peace. And you're making the bold decision to step away from the chaos, the hurt, the emotional depletion. This act of cutting ties isn't about being vengeful or playing games. It's about protecting what is sacred to you, your mind, your heart, your energy. When you constantly allow people who disrespect you, hurt you, or take advantage of your kindness to remain in your life, you're sending a message that their behavior is acceptable. But by setting the boundary of no contact, you're drawing a line. You are saying, I will not allow myself to be treated this way anymore. And that is a profound act of self. Setting boundaries is an essential part of self-love. Without boundaries, you allow people to dictate the terms of your happiness. You give them the power to control your emotional state, to dictate how you feel about yourself, and to keep you stuck in a cycle of disappointment and frustration. No contact is a way of reclaiming that power. It is a way of saying, I choose myself first. I choose my well-being over the chaos you bring into my life. No contact is also a way to take back control. When someone continuously crosses your boundaries, they create a pattern of disrespect. By pulling away, you disrupt that pattern and force them to face the consequences of their actions. This is not about making them suffer. It's about you finally getting the space to heal, to grow, and to focus on your own needs. Protecting your peace isn't just about avoiding conflict. It's about intentionally choosing environments and people that uplift you rather than drain you. No contact gives you the opportunity to reset, to clear the emotional clutter, and to create space for what truly matters. It allows you to shift from a place of constant giving and compromising to a place of self-care and self-preservation. And here's the thing, it's okay to protect your peace at all costs. No one deserves the right to disturb the tranquility you've worked so hard to cultivate. No contact is not about isolation. It's about reclaiming your strength, your focus, and your sense of self. It's about removing the distractions that prevent you from becoming the best version of yourself. When you choose no contact, you are not just protecting your peace. You are practicing the highest form of self-respect there is. The energy you bring into the world, the boundaries you set, and the way you show up for yourself all play a crucial role in teaching others how to treat you. The way you allow people to treat you is a reflection of how you view yourself. If you continuously let others disrespect you, disregard your time, or dismiss your feelings, you are signaling to them that this behavior is acceptable. But when you start to set clear boundaries, prioritize your needs, and stand firm in your self-worth, you teach others a very different lesson, that you are someone who deserves respect, kindness, and love. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that people will just figure it out or that they'll naturally understand what you need without you saying a word. But the truth is, people can only treat you based on the cues you give them. If you tolerate disrespect, if you constantly put others before yourself, if you let people take advantage of your time, you are unknowingly teaching them that these behaviors are okay. You are setting the bar low, allowing them to think that your love, your time, and your effort can be taken for granted. But when you choose to show up for yourself, when you choose to honor your own needs, desires, and limits, you begin to shift the narrative. You show the world that you are worthy of the same care and respect that you give to others. You create a standard that others can't help but meet if they want to continue being a part of your life. When you demand respect through your actions, when you stand firm in your boundaries and practice self-love, you send a message. I know my worth, and I will not settle for less than what I deserve. This is where the power lies, in your ability to teach people how to treat you. It's not about controlling others. It's about taking control of your own life and deciding what kind of energy you will allow into it. It's about teaching people that you are someone who will not accept less than the best. You don't have to shout it from the rooftops or constantly remind people of your worth. Your actions will speak for themselves. When you respect yourself, others will follow suit. When you treat yourself with kindness, others will treat you with kindness. When you protect your peace, others will respect that peace. If you let people disrespect you, you are telling them that you don't value yourself enough to demand better. But when you set clear boundaries and hold firm to them, you are saying that you value yourself and you expect the same from others. You teach them how to treat you by showing them how to love and honor you through your own example. You become the standard, the example, the blueprint for what true respect looks like. You deserve to be treated with the love, care, and respect you give to others. It's your responsibility to teach others that lesson. And the more you practice it, the more you'll see that people will rise to meet the expectations you've set because they will understand that you won't settle for anything less. You set the tone for your life. And when you teach people how to treat you, you give them the opportunity to meet the highest version of you. When you're in the midst of pain, when your heart feels shattered, when everything feels like it's falling apart, it can be difficult to see beyond the immediate hurt. You may feel overwhelmed by the need to fix things, to make everything right, to go back to the way things were. But the first step in healing is often the hardest one, creating distance. Space is not about avoidance or running away from your feelings. It's about giving yourself the opportunity to breathe, to reset, and to rediscover who you are without the weight of the situation pressing down on you. Taking a step back, creating some emotional and physical space allows you to break free from a cycle of pain and confusion. It provides you with the distance you need to gain perspective. Sometimes we're so close to a situation, so enmeshed in someone else's behavior or the chaos around us that we lose sight of who we are and what we need. Distance creates the space for you to regain clarity, to see the truth of the situation, and to realize what's truly important. When you're constantly surrounded by noise and chaos, it's easy to lose track of your own voice. Distance allows you to hear it again. This space also gives you strength. Strength doesn't always come from fighting through the storm or pushing yourself harder to fix things. Sometimes strength comes from stepping back, from acknowledging that you need time to heal and gather your strength before diving back in. It's about recognizing that your worth doesn't depend on constantly being available to others, constantly being in the thick of things, or constantly fixing what's broken. Strength lies in your ability to give yourself the grace and patience to heal at your own pace without rushing through the process to meet someone else's expectations. Healing is a process, and that process doesn't follow a timeline dictated by anyone else. The distance you create is the space where you can rebuild yourself on your own terms. It's where you can reflect, where you can understand the lessons, and where you can find the courage to move forward. You are not bound to stay stuck in the pain of the past. By taking the necessary space, you give yourself the power to rebuild. In the distance, you find your power again. You find your peace. You find your clarity. And in that space, you are given the opportunity to take the next step with intention and with purpose, free from the influences and pressures of the past. You are no longer defined by the hurt, the loss, or the struggle. You are free to move forward with a renewed sense of self and a deep understanding of what you need in order to thrive. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is step back. It may feel counterintuitive, like you're losing ground or retreating, but in reality, stepping back is one of the most powerful actions you can take. When life gets overwhelming, when relationships become toxic, when situations drain your energy and peace, detaching from what hurts you is not an act of weakness. It's an act of strength. By stepping away from the sources of pain, you are creating the space necessary for healing, for growth, and for transformation. Detaching doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean abandoning or neglecting what once mattered to you. It means acknowledging that staying in that hurtful space is preventing you from moving forward. And by stepping back, you are giving yourself the chance to breathe, reflect, and reset. It's about prioritizing your own well-being over the chaos of a situation that no longer serves you. It's about making room for what nourishes you rather than what depletes you. When you detach, you make room for what heals you. By stepping back from the things and people that drain you, you allow space for the things that will rebuild you. When you're too close to the pain, too enmeshed in the struggle, you can't see clearly. Detaching gives you the emotional distance to start seeing things with fresh eyes. It allows you to step into your power, to reclaim your peace, and to surround yourself with what truly serves your highest good. In stepping back, you elevate yourself. You make a conscious decision to no longer remain stuck in cycles that are holding you back. You step up in ways that you couldn't have done if you remained entangled in the same patterns. It's in the detachment that you start to rebuild your self-worth, that you start to rediscover your purpose and your passion. Detaching from the past, from toxic environments, from draining people, allows you to step into a future where your energy is spent on things that truly matter, things that bring you joy, fulfillment, and peace. Stepping back is not about shrinking. It's about growing. It's not about giving up. It's about choosing to rise above the circumstances that once held you down. When you let go of what hurts you, you create the space to embrace the things that will push you forward, the things that will help you heal and thrive. And it's in this space of detachment that you truly step up to who you were always meant to be. There is immense strength in the quiet. The moment you choose silence, it becomes a mirror, reflecting the raw truth that can no longer be ignored. When words are no longer spoken, the reality of a situation settles in with a power that no conversation can match. Silence creates a space for introspection, for self-accountability. It's in this quiet pause that others are forced to examine their own actions without the protection of your voice cushioning the discomfort. When we engage in constant communication, constantly explaining ourselves or trying to fix things, we sometimes allow the other person to avoid facing the consequences of their behavior. Our words, no matter how well-intentioned, can soften the blow of the truth, allowing them to sidestep their responsibility or make excuses. But when you choose silence, you stop participating in the cycle of making them feel comfortable. You remove the safety net they've relied on to avoid the reality of what they've done. Without your words to defend them or excuse their actions, they are forced to reckon with the consequences of their choices. In silence, you create a boundary. You are no longer offering explanations, apologies, or justifications. You are no longer attempting to soothe their guilt or make them understand. Instead, you allow them to sit with the impact of their actions without your presence, without your voice, without your energy, constantly trying to smooth things over. The truth has nowhere to hide in the silence. It's loud, clear, and undeniable. This silence isn't just about withdrawal. It's about reclaiming your space. It's about recognizing that you don't owe anyone an explanation for your emotions, your decisions, or your boundaries. It's about letting others understand that they must face the consequences of their behavior without you constantly being there to soften the experience. When you stop speaking, you stop excusing them from the uncomfortable truths they've been avoiding. In those moments of silence, they are left with themselves. They can no longer project blame, shift responsibility, or manipulate the narrative. They have to confront their own choices, their own impact on you and on the relationship. And when they do, they will understand just how much they've taken for granted, how much they've overlooked, or how much they've hurt you. The absence of your words forces them to grapple with the reality they may have been running from. Your silence holds the space for them to understand that actions have consequences. It allows them to experience the discomfort, the guilt, or the realization that they can no longer avoid. You stop enabling their evasion of the truth, and instead, You create the environment where they are left to face themselves. The silence you choose doesn't speak in anger or bitterness. It speaks in strength, in self-respect, in the belief that the truth will stand on its own without your need to defend it. When you stop filling the air with words, you give them a chance to reflect, to learn, and to grow. You create an opportunity for the truth to sink in, for the weight of their actions to land in a way they cannot ignore. In the silence, you are no longer diminishing the significance of what they've done. You allow them to feel it fully and to understand that the impact of their actions reaches far beyond what words can repair. So, no contact is often misunderstood as an act of retribution or some form of emotional payback. People may think it's about making someone feel the void you've left, making them regret the way they treated you. But the truth is, no contact isn't about them at all. It's about you. It's about reclaiming your sense of self, your peace, your energy. It's about stepping away from the chaos that has consumed you and finding the space to breathe again. It's a powerful act of self-care, a way to rebuild from the inside out and to rediscover the person you were before the relationship started to take so much from you. In relationships that leave us feeling drained or lost, we often find ourselves losing bits and pieces of our identity along the way. We give so much of ourselves to another person, to their needs, their expectations, and their emotional drama, that we forget to nurture our own spirit. No contact isn't about revenge. It's a necessary reset, an invitation to return to the core of who you are. It's a space where you no longer have to cater to someone else's emotional volatility. In that stillness, you can hear your own voice again. You can feel your own desires, and you can remember what brings you joy. When you take the step to disengage and cut the ties, it's not because you want to make someone suffer. It's because you are choosing to make yourself a priority. You are choosing your own peace, your own growth, your own happiness over the noise of a relationship that has kept you stagnant or wounded. In the absence of contact, you create the room to heal, to reflect, and to reclaim your power. It's not a tactic to punish. It's a decision to put yourself first. This space isn't empty. It's filled with potential. When you remove yourself from a toxic dynamic, you give yourself the chance to step back into the life you deserve, to rediscover the dreams, passions, and aspirations that were once buried beneath the weight of trying to fix someone else. No contact is about breaking free from the emotional chains that have kept you tethered to a version of yourself that you no longer recognize or need. To summarize, who are you without the person who used to be? Who are you without the dreams you dream of without the person that you dream of without the person? It's about shedding the layers of doubt, insecurity, and frustration that have built up over time and returning to the person you were always meant to be. It's also about learning that your value doesn't come from others' opinions or treatment of you. You are worthy of respect, love, and kindness, not because of your ability to tolerate mistreatment, but because of who you are at your core. No contact reminds you of this. It helps you remember that you are not defined by the way someone else has treated you, but by the way you choose to treat yourself. In choosing silence, you affirm your own worth, and you make the decision to surround yourself with people, situations, and energy that honor and nurture you. No contact is not about the other person understanding what they lost. It's about you finally understanding what you deserve. It's a powerful declaration that your peace, your joy, and your healing are not negotiable. It's about saying to the universe, I am ready for something better. I am worthy of something better. You are no longer willing to settle for anything less than what aligns with your highest good. It's a shift from seeking validation from external sources to recognizing that validation must come from within. The true rebirth happens when you stop waiting for someone else to validate your worth or show you your importance. You already know it. You already feel it. When you step into no contact, you are finally giving yourself permission to move forward, not because of someone else's actions, but because you know that you are ready for a life that nourishes your soul, not drains it. The silence you create isn't empty, it's filled with the possibility of healing, growth, and transformation. Detachment is one of the hardest lessons in life because it requires us to break free from what we once thought we couldn't live without. It's not just about walking away, it's about unlearning the patterns that kept us tied to pain, rewriting the stories we've told ourselves about love, worth, and loyalty. True strength isn't in how long you hold on, but in how bravely you let go when holding on starts costing you your peace. People often mistake attachment for love. They believe that clinging, sacrificing, and enduring mistreatment is a sign of commitment. But attachment rooted in fear is not love, it's dependency. Love should never require you to betray yourself, to shrink yourself, or to endure cycles of hurt just to keep someone close. Detachment is the moment you realize that your well-being matters more than your fear of losing someone who has already shown they are not meant for you. It's understanding that your heart can heal, your soul can recover, and your life can flourish beyond the pain of letting go. Detachment is strength because it demands discipline. It's easy to run back to what's familiar, to seek comfort in what once felt safe, even if it was unhealthy. But real strength is found in resisting the pull of the past, in choosing to move forward even when the road ahead feels uncertain. It's about trusting yourself enough to know that you don't need someone else to complete you. You were whole before they arrived, and you will be whole long after they're gone. When you detach, you take your power back. No longer are you waiting for an apology that may never come, for validation from someone who never saw your worth, for a relationship that constantly left you feeling empty. You stop seeking closure from people who were never capable of giving it. You learn that closure isn't something they give you, it's something you give yourself when you decide to stop reopening wounds that need time to heal. Detachment isn't about turning off your emotions. It's about shifting your focus. It's about recognizing that your energy is sacred, that your love should be reciprocated, that your presence is a privilege, not something to be taken for granted. It's about understanding that what you tolerate teaches others how to treat you. When you detach, you send a message, not to them, but to yourself, that you will no longer participate in anything that diminishes your value. It takes strength to walk away without needing to explain yourself, to resist the temptation of proving your worth to someone who never truly saw it. It takes courage to sit with the discomfort of healing, to embrace the silence that follows no contact, to trust that the space you're creating will be filled with something greater. Detachment is strength because it allows you to shift from begging for love to becoming love, from chasing validation to owning your worth, from feeling powerless to standing in your power. In conclusion, when you stop chasing, they start losing. The power of no contact isn't about playing games or seeking revenge. It's about reclaiming your peace, your power, and your worth. It's about taking back control of your life and stepping into the space where healing, clarity, and growth can happen. By choosing no contact, you make the conscious decision to let go of what no longer serves you, to stop enabling behaviors that hurt you, and to protect your energy. You give yourself the gift of distance, space, and reflection, allowing you to rediscover the person you were before the chaos and pain took over. No contact is not about making others miss you. It's about rediscovering yourself, remembering your value, and reaffirming that you deserve love, respect, and peace. When you choose silence, you create room for growth, clarity, and the opportunity to build a life that is aligned with your highest good. Ultimately, the power of no contact lies not in what it does to the other person, but in what it does for you. It is the moment you choose yourself, reclaim your strength, and begin the journey of becoming the person you were always meant to be.